3 years ago, about 1996, you know, somebody challenged me when we had the funeral rite of the late president, is it Okello?
Yes, Okello.
So after that service, I remember I preached and somebody came to encourage me about what he heard. And the feedback from the congregation really made it very clear to me that those of us who were here in London as people who came because of what happened in Uganda from 1984, and when the new government came in, we were here because God wanted us to be here. So after that service, I started actually London Christian Fellowship with my family, and Doreen, my wife, and our children were very much involved. And when people heard about it, they came and joined us while I was at St. Matthew's as a senior priest. It was from there that I felt God was encouraging us to encourage many of us who have come to this country and found a place to live and stay. And we all have got different stories about why we came to this country during that particular time. I've got my own story, and I've heard many people's stories. And actually, London Christian Fellowship came into my mind as an inspiration to really share my faith in the context where we found ourselves. And from the challenges that I had gathered, I think it was right that we started it. And I'm very happy to let you know that actually London Christian Fellowship now stands with 5 important points that we call our objectives. And the first one is to encourage every member of the fellowship to know Jesus, live and practice our Christian faith. Secondly, we encourage every member of this fellowship to discover, know, and develop their talents and spiritual gifts for ministry everywhere, and particularly in this country. And also to share the good news of God's grace with our families, friends, neighbors, and everyone. And also to lift up the name of Jesus Christ through the activities of the fellowship. And also to pray and give generously to support the mission of Jesus Christ wherever appropriate, particularly here and back home in Uganda. And also, we intend to continue to support Christian education, mission, evangelism, and Christian charitable work at home and abroad. And this keeps us aware of our Christian faith. And I want to make this statement here before I go any further. We are a community of non-denominational believers whose fellowship is Christ-centered and therefore open to everyone in our community, regardless of either faith, church background. We are, from my point of view, an evangelical fellowship where we share the gospels without shame.
And thank you for that. I'm going to talk back to the start.
Yeah.
So, kera chaka in 1996.
Yes.
Okay, and it was a family thing to start.
Yes.
Chaka yes. Family. Chino mai charone. Icharono timono a regular service or monobino later.
It's very interesting to note that, you see, when we started it, our intention was to help people who have not connected themselves to any local church here in the UK, to find a place where they can meet and speak the language they understand. That was the intention. So my wife Doreen and the children really say, Daddy, we would like to learn to know our language. And the best thing is to start a fellowship where we can fellowship as a family and also invite others. It was from that point that people heard it and they started, can we join? And they came in. So it was a kind of an open fellowship where we welcomed everybody.
Yeah, definitely. I heard about it and I've been to some of your services. My team is Stratford.
Yes.
Yaro baka penyo at mano chakane mono what challenges did you have then?
Well, I think I remember reading from the Bible the prayer of Daniel chapter 9, which really reminded me of the value and the importance and the meaning of what Christian prayer is all about. Daniel prayed a very important prayer in that prayer. He had a direct, challenge to me when I read it. After having read that text, I say, Lord, this is exactly what I feel has happened to actually people back in Uganda. So, God, forgive us. We have done things that makes us ashamed of our life. And that prayer in Daniel chapter 9 up to now reminds me the value and the importance of Christian prayer everywhere. You know, that text tells us that Daniel was in exile. He was really feeling that the Spirit of the Lord was leading him to talk to God directly. And that prayer has been answered, and it challenged me to begin to make practical prayers to God. So it is really from Daniel chapter 9 that, this fellowship started.
Okay. And were there any challenges to start with in terms of finding a Canada gathering or a church from the beginning?
Well, I think God had provided the place in advance because I was working at St. John's as a senior curate. The vicar really accepted it because he knew that there were many actually people who were coming to his congregation who found it a little bit not very easy because there were new people. But because I was a vicar there, somebody from Acholi, it really made the connection very easy. So it started from St. John's, and the vicar was so generous and he encouraged me. I still value what he did for us and what we have learned from his love and contribution. So really, St. John's is the place where the fellowship started, as you mentioned.
And Janani, it's been running for how many years? Don't 96.
23 years. About 23 years now.
Yeah. So in some people were very young, and now they've grown up through that time.
Well, to be honest with you, you were one of them. You were very young and you came. And I think when you left London, when you left Stratford, you knew that this fellowship was part of, I believe you felt it was a blessing. And that's why I think you are trying to interview me to find out really. So there are people who started when they're very young, they are now married, they've got children, and their children growing in this fellowship who knows that actually fellowship is for them. It is for Ugandans, for all denominations. And that's what excites me about it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then, so you're mentioning charity at some point. So at what point my charitable works?
Well, you see, our charitable work really started from within the community. We discovered that some of our people needed practical home visiting. And not only that, there were some people who practically needed some financial contributions, and we have been generously contributing to individuals, to families, and at a higher level to the community where we found that there were financial needs. And we even do it up to now, even at a higher level, with a bit of some sensible contributions to whatever we see we are able to contribute to. So that charitable contribution continues, and I'm convinced many actually people who have received contributions from us do appreciate that actually a fellowship here in London as a big contribution to the community as it is.
And the charity work,
yes. Yes, we make contributions to the community here and even to the people at home. For example, we always think of the Mothers Union as a key connection where mothers can connect to families. And when families are supported, they understand the Christian life much better through their ministry. So we normally direct our contribution mostly to Mothers Union and youth work.
Okay, more Mothers Union or back Uganda?
Well, you see, we started with the Mothers Union here, and my wife was the leader, but because things have changed, well, the Mothers Union are still there, but practically, I think because we have moved from dispersed to many places, the name is still there, but practically, we do not meet as we used to be. But I'm happy to say that recently, when the three bishops from northern Uganda came, the actually London Christian Fellowship made a very positive financial contribution to the Mothers Union of the three dioceses, Gulu, Kitgum, and Mighty West Nile. Now you can see the value of our charitable work through the Mothers Union. We did not only support the Mothers Union, we also contributed to our bishops who came here at least for 2 weeks. So actually, London Christian Fellowship is, to me, is a bigger fellowship in name, though we seem to be getting smaller in numbers, but our name is growing bigger than our our numbers.
Okay, no, more bad.
Yeah.
And now, I think you're taking a step back, and there's someone else, Madam Timo, running on a regular basis.
Yes, you see, for information, it is good for me to encourage leadership, and I'm encouraging a new leadership, which we will soon announce, but things are already in the right line. So sooner or later, I'll be stepping back and watch things from behind the scenes, but I will still be there making my contribution. And we hope that the new leader who is about to come, possibly, early next year, will stand up and say, I have taken over from Modicum, so please, I am the new man.
Okay,
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
And now, so bene choir be more tier. So choir chaka when.
Yes, that's a very good question that I need to highlight. You see, when actually London Christian Fellowship started, it started at the vicarage where people sensed that they had special gifts in singing. And we did not invite anybody, but I'm happy to mention here that Raymond came in with a special interest in finding out how he can contribute to actually London Christian Fellowship, which he said he was going to be part of it. And the first contribution he made was, Modicum, can we bring a duo from Uganda to sing? I was so excited to hear him say that. So it was through Raymond that actually London Christian Fellowship endorsed the contribution of Raymond and those who wanted to join us to sing. So that's how the choir came in. And the choir now plays a very powerful role in witnessing, in sharing our faith, in reaching even the white community in this country. And actually London Christian Fellowship choir is a powerful Christian mission in mission in the UK. And I thank God for Raymond and those who decided to be part of us. So now we are no longer actually London Christian Fellowship only, but we are actually London Christian Fellowship and choir.
Okay. More bad.
Yeah.
A poor no a chair to the February Janani the Janani
Luwum Mission Day.
Mission Day.
You saw them.
Yes, and then get no.
Yeah.
And they were performing.
Really?
So a question. Yeah. The Janani Luwum Trust, has that come out of the fellowship, or is it totally different?
That's a good question. You see, when actually Christian Fellowship was going on, every year since we started, we were having what we call Bible conferences, and people became so interested because we allowed other Ugandans who were here and who were able to come and contribute, join us in having an annual Bible conference where we invite families and friends to come. It is through that connection that God still spoke to me again. So it was in 2005 that Archbishop Janani Luwum Trust came into focus. And this is the challenge, and the challenge still remains true. You see, we felt it was fair for us to connect what happened in 1977 when Janani was killed. And because we were in London, we wanted to make sure that the world becomes aware that we come from the same tribe where Archbishop Janani Luwum came from. It was because of that conviction that somebody from Uganda, when he visited us, he came and said, Modicum, you stand a golden opportunity to do something in memory of Archbishop Janani Luwum. What can you do? To be honest with you, I was terribly scared. And I said, I cannot do anything. He said, come on, I want to challenge you. So he challenged me, said, Janani Luwum can be a very important positive trust registered in this country. You need to do something about it. I almost rejected it, but by grace, I humbled myself and prayed, Lord, I said, Lord, if this is your will, let your will be done. And a special verse or text from the Bible came to my mind. And this is very important in my life story. Mark chapter 8, verse 38, which reads, whoever is ashamed of me and of my words in this sinful and adulterous world, the Son of Man also will be ashamed of him when he comes in the glory of his Father and the angels. It was from that verse that I said, I'm going to do my best and leave the rest to God. And you know what happened? It was that evening that I wanted to share it with somebody whom I happened to have known, and she was a minister. When I told her the story, he said, Modicum, if you want to register Archbishop Janani Luwum as a trust, I will support you and I will give you £1,000. I tell you, that blew my mind. That's how Archbishop Janani Luwum was registered in 2005. And I'm so excited that by then, Acholi London Christian Fellowship was really growing. And because Archbishop Janani Luwum Trust came and it was registered, I was so humbly blessed to say, even if I go to heaven today, I will say I have done my bit. Because Acholi London Christian Fellowship and Archbishop Janani Luwum fulfilled my calling and my ministry as a Ugandan pastor in the United Kingdom. And I'm convinced that what we have done and what we are doing will continue to remain a testimony to all Ugandans, particularly those of us who come from where Janani came from, that our faith is something that we must not be ashamed of. Because of what Janani did, we know that he preached truth to power. And that cost him his life. And that's what we are all called to do. We need to live and know how to practice our faith. So Archbishop Janani Luwum was registered in 2005 as a charitable organization, which I believe will continue to serve our people here in this country and back home. But our main aim for Archbishop Janani Luwum Trust was really to support the theological college, which was started by him, and it is now in his name in Northern Uganda Diocese, which is serving the North, Gulu, Kitgum, Mighty West Nile, Lango, and other dioceses. And even students from Sudan come to this college as a testimony that that Archbishop Janani Luwum showed in leadership, and he valued people with whom he worked, and through his inspiration, we know that he raised very many important Christian leaders in Uganda and also in this country. For example, the Archbishop of York was nurtured by Archbishop Janani Luwum. The former Archbishop of Uganda, the Right Reverend Rumi, was nurtured by Archbishop Janani Luwum. And the current Bishop of Northern Uganda Diocese was one of the first candidates in Archbishop Janani Luwum Theological College, and I happen to be one of his tutors. So you can see the link of what God is doing in our lives. So I am proud of both Acholi London Christian Fellowship and Archbishop Janani Luwum Trust, which to me is a big contribution of what God has revealed to us, and we need to share it. And your interview for me is a golden opportunity to say, we will not be ashamed to share the love of Jesus Christ wherever we are.
Okay, thank you. And so, and in terms of the charitable work, Genma, both, are they working together, the fellowship and Janani Luwum Trust?
That's a very interesting question. You see, I am the founder of Acholi London Christian Fellowship, and I'm the founder of Archbishop Janani Luwum Trust. You can imagine. And I'm playing these roles very carefully because I know when I leave, I don't know what's going to happen, whether that person is going to accept the two roles, I cannot tell. But you see, Archbishop Janani Luwum Trust is linked very much with Acholi London Christian Fellowship because we do things together. We all have got our bank's account, and we always make sure that we give our community, both here and home, the information of what Acholi London Christian Fellowship is doing and what Archbishop Janani Luwum is doing. And I'm so happy to say that the people who have supported Archbishop Janani Luwum Trust and Acholi London Christian Fellowship in terms of leadership, they have proved themselves to be what I may call they are prayerful, they are reliable, they are responsible, they are accountable and dependable. And that's exactly what Janani Luwum left as his legacy. He was a prayerful person, he was reliable, he was responsible, he was accountable, and he was a dependable man who trusted God in his life until he was killed in 1977.
Okay. And then just finally to wrap up, in terms of the future, both for the Acholi Christian Fellowship and for the Janani Luwum Trust, what do you think is going to happen in the future in terms of them moving forward?
It's a very good question. I believe that these two trusts or community support groups, particularly Archbishop Janani Luwum is a registered charity here, which must be managed according to the charitable laws in this country. Acholi London Christian Fellowship is managed by the community that lives here in London, and our policy is very simple. When we receive contributions from individuals who are our members and those who support us when we ask for support for particular needs, we normally make sure that we give them a very good annual feedback of our finances. And we have learned what I told you. We have become a prayerful, reliable, responsible, accountable, and dependable community. So we always produce our financial reports, both from Acholi London Christian Fellowship and also from Archbishop Janani Luwum Trust, that we are reliable people who knows how to use our gifts for God's glory. And every year, now as I speak to you, we have already produced our annual financial activities for Acholi London Christian Fellowship, which, you know, if you want it in the future, I can give it to you to prove that we want to be people who are responsible, people who are accountable, and people who can be trusted. So Archbishop Janani Luwum Trust and Acholi London Christian Fellowship should work close together. And if you ask me, I would pray that whoever is going to be willing to come and support us in this context, these people must see the link and the importance of working together, because we all belong to people who come from Uganda.
Okay, thank you. And just a final thing, Kangatumo or Nano in the interview, and they want to be involved or maybe to give some money, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
That's a very good question. We have our bank's account, and Acholi London Christian Fellowship as a Barclay account, which I cannot release in an interview like this. And also Archbishop Janani Luwum has a bank account with the Lloyds Bank, which I cannot release the details. But for information, we are very open for you and for those who will hear this interview to understand that we want to continue to serve the Lord the way Archbishop Janani Luwum served God in Uganda and in the world as somebody who is honest, somebody who was called, somebody whom God used to challenge the way we lead and encourage our people in whatever capacity, in whatever discipline they do. We would very much welcome any support, any prayer support, any advice. And because this is the first interview I've ever had with you, I am sure people will understand that God is still working in and through us. And whoever is willing, let them get in touch with you or me for any further questions that I might have raised in this interview, so that we can continue to clarify and confirm that as Christians of the 21st century, it is time for us to witness and let the world know that we are here serving God, even in difficult situations like at this time of coronavirus. We need to stand firm and trust that God wants us to continue to make the world aware that He is control. He is in control of everything. Our destiny is in His hands.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. And for me, going through this, and hopefully Dana will see this, and then they'll then also be encouraged to come forward.
Well, you have my email and you have my telephone number. Please feel free to allow anybody to ask me. And if I have got time through you or whatever system, I am prepared to confirm that when God has called you, He wants you to fulfill His will. And I would like to fulfill my will in serving God faithfully until the last day I get to my new home in heaven.
Okay, thank you, and I hope you have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.